Hey everyone, had a package show up yesterday, so now I should finally be able to take care of covering this. So thought I'd do a unboxing video here on the scoop when I pull it out. Let everybody see, the way I received it, in case anybody's planning on doing the same thing. And then once we get through that, I'm going to start getting the factory scoop back on here and cut, and put the larger air filter on, so I'll have to cut a little of the hood out, and then we'll get this one set up on top. So sit back and watch and enjoy. Okay, here we go. Let's get this thing out of here. They're definitely not afraid to use tape. Coming out looks fairly solid. Looks like all the through bolts have protectors on them, which is nice. Interior surface doesn't look horrible. Exterior, I'm gonna guess part of this is from the rubbing in the packaging. Few little marks here and there. That looks like it's coming off. So overall, I think it's good enough to go ahead and cut my hole and get this thing on there, as long as it fits up on top of the scoop. So that'll be the next thing to check out here. I'll get that moved around and carry on. Okay, you can see where I've got this set up at the moment, kind of taped off as to where the bolt positions would be. Do my marking on the tape for the areas that'll be staying on here, and a place to take notes as well, right on measurements. So first thing I'm going to do though is go ahead and open the hood up and mark the underneath side from where the filter center would be, so we have an idea on where to drill a hole to kind of center up the cutting. So being a little behind on getting my prop rod ordered, use my makeshift one here. Move the camera where you can see here better. So all I am doing is adding this back in Then I will lower the hood. First I can check and see if I can actually see yeah, I can see black Sharpie on the inside of that. So I'm going to lower the hood and try and get a feel for where this will mark, right? Try and get it as close as possible. In fact, looking at this, I might just tape my Sharpie on here and call it good, because it's going to need to be shifted a little rearward anyway to make room as the hood comes down to clear the edges before it goes into place. So let me get this thing taped up there. You can watch real time. All right, I got the marker sitting there, so I'll lower this thing slowly, see if we can get a good mark on it, and you know, we'll have our drill point. All right, next question is finding out if it left a mark or not. So let's take a look, see what we see. Get a little light. And I'm not seeing the clear marking. Not enough that I'm going to drill with anyway. So I'll try this again. Now we have a mark we can see. So that time I left the marker taped up to the stud and lowered the hood enough that I could run it around the stud and make a pretty decent circle. So I'll center up on that, and that's where I'll make the first drill hole. To get an idea of the cut diameter we'll be needing to make, just slip this on and you know, so with a small filter not much has to come out, but now to go to a filter that actually has some room to breathe, it's going to be a little bit different story. So you can see with this one we're going to be coming back quite a ways into the edge. In fact, we'll lose one of the studs that holds this down will go away, and we'll be cutting through the two trough areas here, which I'm assuming at some point is going to let some water in, because the scoop that's going on top doesn't cover the very rear corners very well. So we have to find a way to seal that off as well. But for now, it's a good start. So I'll grab a drill and something to cut with, and we'll get going. Alright, I've got the lid centered up where it's not actually touching the stud any of the directions around. So grab my Sharpie and start making the cut outline. Alright, you can see that's fairly sizable. Now I gotta find a fine blade I can use to start cutting this out so I don't end up chipping a bunch of it off. But I'll grab a tool and we'll get to cutting. So I decided to go ahead and tape off around this a little more than was for the cutting, because I'm going to try and actually cut a little larger outside that circle to make sure that there's plenty of clearance and try and minimize the number of times I have to take this thing back off and on. Alright, let me find some string and grab my Sharpie. Alright, so I've marked my spot where I'm going to bend to hold my Sharpie, and then I'll just give it a ring when we're ready to cut. And now we're ready to cut. I'm going to drill a slightly larger hole to get this started. I'm using a metal blade with really fine teeth. Try and keep this cut as clean as possible. Get it on here and mocked up. Looks like it clears very well. That's all I have left now is to actually cut the hood the same way where it doesn't clear, to clear the 14-inch filter. So I'll get the scoop off, and that'll be the next step. After a quick test fit, everything seems to clear actually fairly well. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pull the scoop back off, yank the tape off of there, get it put together kind of more of a final assembly with all of the bolts that I can get nuts on, cinch down, and then go ahead and cut out the rest of the part of the hood there to make room for the 14-inch air filter instead of this little 6-inch one. So we'll get everything set back up and be back in a moment. So I'm going to end up making this cut as a two-part thing, as the hood skin is separate from the reinforcement underneath, and trying to even start it with a jigsaw. It's nothing more than shaking this everywhere. So we'll see if the how well the old-fashioned way here works. This section where the turbo was underneath is almost rotted through, so imagine that pretty easy. All right. So the easy part's down. Now it's a matter of this last piece in here. So and what to do with it. I guess first we can check and see if by any chance it clears. If it does, that'll be the simplest solution. Oh no, it's going to have to be moved. So we'll go back to these and see how well they work on the underside. Not great. So if that's going to be difficult to cut, let's see if there's any chance I can just bend it up over this top part and flatten it out a bit. So I'm probably going to take the hammer and see if I can just work it back away from there a bit. Give it enough room to clear that, and then it should be good. Okay, I found the answer to the remaining clearance problems. Channel locks and brute force. Since everything underneath the hood is going to be pretty much hidden anyway. And there it is. I think that's going to fit, at least enough for trial run. It may rub, but I don't know. A bigger engine, the bigger problem will be how much the engine twists under acceleration. So actually, I'm thinking, second thought, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can crank that back another ½ inch or so, and just kind of roll it back into itself until it's got a little more room. All right, get a little more bend into it. Let's see, it folded up along here. Right, just fold it back, trying to keep that understructure as intact as much as possible. Other than this piece right here, a little of this one, roll that side over some more. I think we got pretty good clearance. It's like it's almost there. All right, hopefully that's enough. At this point, I think it's ready to get the scoop back on the factory scoop. Set it back on here and bolt it down. Then next test run, listen for noises. But I'll show you top view. All right, tightest fit is right here at the rear. I think I can sort that out just by tightening the lid down. So should be plenty of room. Definitely room as far as the clearance goes. So we'll get this thing all buttoned up and show you the finished product. Here it is. Finally got everything bolted back up. Clears well. Get a finger on top of the air filter pretty much all the way around without touching the scoop. So as far as fitment onto the body, it kept a pretty tight line by actually putting a little effort into bolting it down. And then I actually even got some nuts on the back bolts that are down in these channels. It's got a little bit right in here. I can feel it's almost kind of like a low spot that it doesn't necessarily match on the other side. I think that's partly to do with the way it's bolted down, but for now I'm going to call it good enough. Keeps the top of the engine dry if I have to park out in the rain. Came down tight along the backside. Well, did where I bent the hood to get it to clear back there. It did create a bit of a gap along here, but there's some rain channels down in there that'll drain if the water gets in. But right now where it drains will be right on top of my coil, so I may have to keep an eye on that or just get some type of sealer and kind of seal this up or unbolt this and put like a neoprene gasket or something under there. Then of course these, as much as I try to get them lined up evenly on each side, this side's a little narrower on what shows as far as these troughs, and the other side is not by a lot. It's one of those things, if you're looking for it you'll see it, if you're not looking you won't notice it. And you know, I'm trying to get over being a perfectionist, especially on this car. So right now I'm calling it good enough. Next thing for this will be probably try and get this off at some point. Get it painted. Don't know if I'll go orange or black. You know, if anybody has suggestions, I'm open. Post them below. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up for today. Work on the next bit of the project hopefully tomorrow. But you know, I'm gonna keep following along. Hit the subscribe button down there, ring the little bell, get notified when I post updates, and you know, hit like. So Anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Some point in time, you'll probably see me doing more to the hood in one way, shape, or form. Oh, the one thing I did really notice, putting this back on, this assembly, this part of the factory hood scoop with this on top of it probably weighs more than the actual factory hood does itself. I was amazed. World of difference when I went to close the hood. You can feel the difference in the heft when you open it or close it. It's very noticeable when you haven't had this on here for a while. So at some point I may just go to a pin-on hood, call it a day, wait and see if I go with the Holley Hi Ram and how much extra space that takes. If it takes more, that'll probably be the tipping point where I just go to a pin-on hood and call it a day. Anyway, thanks again. Hit like, subscribe, ring the bell to follow, and there'll be more to come.